The world will tell you that there are 1,001 different ways to grow your business, and each different person will tell you that one of those things is the best. But there's one model of business growth that has stood the test of time, and as a result is now worth over hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Any big company, brand, business that you spend your money on or that you see the internet or in the world will be using this. And if I'm honest, it's pretty boring. It's not sexy, it's not overly fancy or clever. There will probably be a few eye rolls and a few clicks off of this video once I start talking about what I want to talk about. But I want to show you how you can use this tool and seriously scale your business, do it properly, and if I'm honest, talk about a lot of things that I thought I would be charging people to talk about, but no one's paying me for it anyway, so why not give it to you for free? So I want to break down this method for you and give you the 5 key steps to utilizing this tool to make the most out of it, get the most growth out of it, the most scalability, predictability, I suppose, and really own this space within your business. So what I'm talking about here is online ads, and I'm sure you've heard thousands of people talk about this before, maybe you haven't, but I just want to run through the A to Z of how to use ads properly, just bundle it all into one video rather than you having to pull it together from multiple sources. And I guarantee there'll be something that I speak about today that you may not have heard someone else speak about before, or the way that I phrase it will just tickle your brain in a different way and trigger a different action for you that hopefully you can implement into your own business, into your own ads if you're already running them, or into your ads when you start them, hopefully after this video. I seriously do think if you follow these 5 steps, and I know because I've seen it happen for some of the businesses I've worked for, you will find immense success in your online ads and therefore immense success in your business. So step number 1 in running successful ads for your business is understanding that creative is king. The truth of it is the way that Meta ads or Google ads or any of the ad platforms, if you have used them before, the way that they are moving things is that the majority of the finding the audience and getting your stuff in front of the right people is mostly just handled by AI now. And actually, if you just allow those platforms, AI and their machine learning to take the reins on that, they will most of the time do a better job than you if you were to put in your detailed audiences and your targeting and who you want to show this content to. The most important part of your ad campaigns is the creative. And by that, I mean your video or your photo or your photos if you're running a carousel post. Getting this done right is the most important part. I would argue copywriting that you put in the text and the description and the headlines. If you want to use the 80-20 language that I know people like to use a lot, which I still don't really understand, but sounds nice. 80% of your effort should be on the creative, 20% should be on everything else. I think I'm using that correctly. Now there are a few key components to making a good creative. I'm just going to use the example of videos. I could make a whole video on this on its own, and I will do if you want me to, just let me know in the comments. Or this is all stuff that I talk about within my mentorship program, which I'll also leave a link for in the description if you want to get involved. But for video content, video ads, you want a good hook to stop people scrolling, you want a good story to keep people interested, you want a good offer, and a very clear call to action at the end. So something to stop people scrolling through the eternal abyss of social media and pay attention to what it is that you have to say. Something that is compelling to them and relates to a problem that they have and gives them hope that there is a solution somewhere. An offer to give them that solution to that problem, and then a very clear call to action. What is it, the next thing that they should do after watching this piece of video content? That's it in a nutshell. Again, if you want a bit more detail on this, I talk about it more in my mentorship. So step number 2 in making your digital online ads as effective as possible is understanding ad objectives. This will obviously vary business to business depending on what it is you want to do. Are you just trying to get people to click on your website? Are you trying to sell something to people? Are you trying to get leads so you can call them up and contact them later? Are you trying to get people to download your app? Most platforms will have specific objectives that you can give to the ads that you are running, but it's important to understand that whatever your key objective is, let's say for getting leads, for example, you shouldn't just solely be running lead ads. The reason for this being those ads are going to be expensive to run because a lot of people are running those ads, but also Meta, Google, TikTok knows that leads are valuable. If you get good leads, that's going to make you more money. So they know that they can charge you more money because it's worth more to you. So I would always advise, again, let's use the example of leads. If you are trying to get leads for your business, always run a traffic campaign as well. Some ads where you're just trying to get people to click on your website or click on your social media profile and see who you are. There's a couple of reasons I would suggest that. First of all, builds trust, builds rapport, allows people to see who you are, contributes to the 7-4-11 philosophy, which I've spoken about in previous videos before. Long story short though, for people to trust you, they need to spend 7 hours with you in 4 different locations over 11 different interactions. On top of that, this sort of traffic will be much cheaper as well. So you can get thousands of people to click on your links on your website, many, many more than you would get if you were running lead campaigns. And then those people that are clicking on your stuff are giving you traffic. You can either later retarget them, which I'll get to in a second, and these people you know are interested in your stuff. So if you give them a more direct piece of content, they're definitely more likely to buy into that thing than someone who hasn't had any interaction with you before. So you can retarget, but also amongst all this cheap traffic, you're probably going to get a few people that do take the action or fill in the lead form. So you get that as an added bonus anyway. Now don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't exclusively run traffic campaigns if you're trying to get leads. Run them both at the same time. They will complement one another. I guess the fundamental part of the point I'm trying to make here is no one trusts anyone these days, right? So we need to build trust with people as much as we can, spend time with people as much as we can. So these traffic ads allow us to do that, to spend more time with people for less money. And so ultimately when they get to that lead page, when they get to that product page, there's a much higher chance of them actually committing than if we were just running the action lead, the purchase ad on its own. Okay, so point number 3, which I've just touched on briefly in what I was just speaking about, is understanding funnels. Now, marketing funnels, you'd traditionally look at top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. So top of funnel, these are people who have just found out who you are, maybe seeing your stuff for the first time. They've just clicked on your website for the first time. They've just come across a piece of social media content from you for the first time. And these are the people that you're building trust with, you're building rapport with, you're just wanting to spend time with them, that 7-4-11. That's where this business is done up here, right? Then your middle of funnel, people know about you, they know you have a solution to their problems, but maybe there are some objectives, some things that are holding them back. And so these people, you'd speak differently to how you speak to these people here, because you're assuming that everyone up here in the top of funnel doesn't know who you are, so you want to speak to them like a stranger. Middle funnel, people have a general idea of who you are, and I would say the key component here is handling objectives. What questions might your customers have at this point if they know you, they know what you're trying to sell to them, but they're hesitating? Can you handle those objectives? Here in the middle of the funnel. And then bottom of the funnel is people who are basically, they're ready to go, they're committed, they know they're going to purchase, maybe they've purchased before, and you can give them exclusive offers for another product you're running, or another sale that you're running, or another event that you're running. These are people who, if you send an email out to them, they're pretty much guaranteed going to click buy because they trust you, they know what you do, they love you, and they know that you deliver results. Now, why this is relevant to ads is you can target all these certain people in this specific area of the funnel, specifically using retargeting. So again, all the different platforms that you will use for running ads will have the capability to track people that have clicked on your website, people that have viewed a certain amount of a video, whether they've watched past the 15-second mark, and you can set up ads to go out specifically to those audiences. So if you've ran an ad that takes someone to an offer page and maybe they've filled out some details, or they've explored the website in a certain way that shows that they're interested, but then they didn't commit, you can retarget them later with a specific ad that says, hey, I know you were checking this out, just want to talk about XYZ, some things that are common objectives for people, and give them a specific offer, a specific website to go to get them over the line. This is one of the key mistakes that I see a lot of business owners make when it comes to online ads, is neglecting the retargeting part of online advertising. This audience here, these are your hottest prospects. These are the people that are the closest to buying and giving you their money. And yet people just, I know I just said that the creative is key and you need to be making good content. Yes, of course, but don't neglect the fact that there are going to be people out there, once you publish these ads, that are ready. They just need a little bit of convincing. Maybe they weren't ready to press the buy button when they saw your ad the first time, but they've pressed the ad, so they're interested. So talk to them again later down the line with a more specifically targeted piece of content that shows urgency, that builds a bit more trust, that handles objectives, and just nudges them over the line. And you can even do that to things like your social media visitors, so people that have visited your Instagram or your Facebook. Some people might be watching this clip on Instagram or Facebook, and later on down the line I could choose an ad to run to you specifically and say, hey, I know you've seen my content before. Did you know that I'm running this offer? Or I have 45 tips that you can get delivered to your email over 45 days that will help simply scale and grow your life or business or career. That I'll also leave a link to in the bio of this video, by the way, if you want to check that out. Don't neglect retargeting. Okay, step number 4, you have found some success in some ads, you're getting a bit of traction, you're getting clicks on your website, you're getting leads. So at this point, you just let things run. You keep the ads running, keep the money pumping in. Zuckerberg says, thank you very much. You get your business, he gets to steal your pounds and dollars or whatever, and your business scales and grows without you having to lift a finger, right? Incorrect! There is gonna come a time where you'll experience a wonderful thing called ad fatigue. There are a few reasons why this might happen. One of those reasons might genuinely be that the advertising platform that you're using has shown your piece of content to as many people as it possibly can. And now it's just cycling that piece of content to those people, and they've seen it too many times and they're not interested anymore. So they're not clicking on it. So you're just burning your cash basically. Another thing is that marketing changes, the landscape of online advertising changes, what works and catches people as a hook works for a season, but people get bored of it and people see the same tricks repeated again and again, so it's not always gonna work. Or it might just be that the season that you are running a specific ad in, you need to be promoting something else. So, you know, whether it's Black Friday, you need to be promoting Black Friday deals because that's what everyone's doing and that's what people care about, or Christmas or Valentine's Day or whatever if you have a seasonal product. And so you might find some ads, your kind of hero content that you can have running in the background and, you know, pumping a lot of your budget into because you know it works, but you should never just leave it there. Continue to create and test more ads, more photo ads, more video ads, whatever it is that you are doing, do more of it. This will help if you start finding ad fatigue with the ads that you're currently running, but you might also find that you discover an ad that does even better than your piece of hero content. I've had this happen many times where we've had an ad that we've run for months that's working really well, it's getting much cheaper and much better results than any of the other ads that we're running, and then suddenly a random ad that we have made starts dominating this ad, and this ad now becomes like irrelevant, it's totally useless. And we would have never discovered this if we had just looked at this ad and thought, hey, this ad is performing really well, we're hitting our targets, we're hitting our KPIs, we're doing what we need to do with this ad, so why bother making anything else? No, we knew that this would not last forever, so we tested some other things, found something that actually outperformed this, and this, you know, we don't even use this piece of content anymore. And this isn't just a one-time thing, by the way, this happens often. So continue to test, continue to try new things. One of the best ways to do this, organic social media content. Create lots of content. You should be doing this anyway, but create content, be putting it out on social media. Here is where you can try different things, and you know, you're doing it for free. You're not spending money on these ads. You should spend money on testing your ads, but this is your sandbox, right? Your playground, social media, organic social media. Put out pieces of content and try different things, try different hooks, try different content, try different flow, try different call to actions at the end. See what performs well, and then if you have an outlier, a piece of content that does well, use that as an ad, or use that to create a new ad, a higher quality production than maybe this is. Although you don't always have to do that because advertising platforms like things that look native. So if you've got a good piece of organic social media content that does well, just use that as an ad. You might need to tweak a few things and put a better call to action at the end, but you know this works, so give it some money and watch it work even better. Then lastly, and certainly not least, is making sure that there is a clear call to action, a clear next step for the people that are viewing your ads. An example of how not to do this, I was working for a company where we ran what was a good piece of organic content. We knew it would do well, so we chucked it on as an ad, and it was great. Got loads of reactions, comments, engagement. You could argue, you know, it did well for the brand and for the business and contributed to the 7-4-11. But it was basically just an elaborate story about a pain point that we knew our audience would relate to, and it gave some helpful advice and tips or whatever, but there was no like call to action at the end. There was no, by the way, if you want some more tips on this, head to our website, we've got a free guide on XYZ. And so we wasted this huge potential of an audience that we knew were engaged with what we were talking about, were engaged in this piece of content that we'd put out, and we didn't give them a next step. We didn't give them a follow up with us here, contact us here, effectively just lost them to the ether. Yes, we could retarget them later, as I've already mentioned, but there was huge potential for business to be done there, and we lost it. So make sure you are very clear what is the next thing that these people should do if they are interested in the ad that they have just seen? Is it fill out the contact form? Is it visit the website? Is it buy this thing now whilst a special promotional offer is still live? Make sure you tell them. Make sure that journey is as frictionless and effortless as possible. Make sure your links work well. Make sure they're not having to jump through hoops just to give you their contact information, which sounds stupid, but I've seen it before. And one of the best ways to do this is to direct people to a landing page where you show them what the next step is, and again, start to build a bit of rapport with them, spend a bit of time with them, show them that you mean business, and show them that you are the answer to all of their problems. Now, creating a landing page is a difficult thing in and of itself, and is a whole video in and of itself. Fortunately for you, I've already made one. So I'm going to link that right here for you to take a look at. The key things to consider when creating a landing page. And if you combine that with what I've just spoken about here, you are going to have a unbeatable online system for generating business, bringing people to your website and buying into your things. You can thank me when you're a millionaire.